Party, we're watching you.
Yeah.
We are disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
We are angry.
Yes.
We are offended.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like we're being mistreated, misused, and disrespected. We will not continue to be disrespected by the Democratic Party. As I said yesterday, and I'll say today and tomorrow, if you're an independent candidate, Green Party candidate, Republican candidate, now is your time in this city.
Welcome to Male Reality Lessons, where topics are reviewed and discussed as iron sharpens iron. On today's episode, let's talk about what's hot in the news, and that's the migrant invasion. It was always been said that when a sovereign country does not have any borders or border control, the country basically will no longer exist. And the current administration, albeit I am not a fan of either party at this point, you need to take action as a responsible voter to ensure that your interests are protected and the chaos ensuing does not explode at your own peril. And you don't have to believe me. Let's take a closer look at some news commentary and see how these quote unquote sanctuary cities are being impacted today.
With a record number of migrants crossing into the U.S., pushing resources to the limit in many American cities. Now hospitals are sounding the alarm, saying they're also overwhelmed, including some far from the border. Julia Ainsley has our report.
Tonight, the border crisis surging. Officials telling NBC News there were over 200,000 illegal crossings at the southern border last month, and a record 3 million migrants crossed the border in the last year. Now, a new warning 1,000 miles away in New York City, where officials tell us resources are overwhelmed. Across public hospitals in New York City over the last year, nearly 30,000 visits by migrants and 300 new babies born to migrant moms. Staff here at Bellevue Hospital tell us they're eager to help, but the numbers are tough.
This has been the hardest work that I've ever done, but it's been the most impactful work that I've ever done.
And most of the visits to the taxpayer-funded legal clinic here are by migrants.
Our clinics are full, and there are waiting lists, and people are turning people away or referring them to other places.
Randy Redkin from New York's Legal Assistance Group says so many migrants are asking for legal help on asylum representation and healthcare access. Now, she says, American citizens who need legal assistance with issues like eviction and insurance have to wait up to 10 weeks.
If you ask me, do we need more resources for legal services? I would say absolutely yes.
Meanwhile, New York's governor now slamming the situation at the border.
It is too open right now. People coming from all over the world are finding their way through, simply saying they need asylum.
And New York Mayor Eric Adams saying providing services for migrants will cost city taxpayers $12 billion.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
But Biden administration officials have blamed Adams' response. It is not an operationally sound effort, one senior DHS official told NBC News. Meanwhile, migrants on the streets are desperate for city help.
Tonight, concern growing across the country as the number of migrants crossing into the U.S. reach near record highs. In an exclusive interview, ABC News speaking with Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens, the top U.S. official on the front line.
This isn't sustainable. This is up and down the system. Everybody is overwhelmed.
Nowhere more intense this week than Eagle Pass, Texas, where Owens says human smugglers sent thousands of migrants, likely in part to divert law enforcement attention from elsewhere.
I believe it's a money-making opportunity for those smugglers, and I believe it's a distraction for them to cross other things into the country.
Other things like
narcotics, fentanyl, bulk cash, weapons, people of interest, whether it be hardened criminals, gang members, convicted sexual predators.
Owen says his agents should be focused on stopping those kinds of things, but must instead deal with the unrelenting flow of migrants. In Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, hundreds gathering near the border, some crossing through barbed wire by night. Officials in El Paso opening up more shelter space, but the city says they'll need to send migrants elsewhere to ease the strain.
The city of El Paso only has so many resources, and we have come to what we look at a breaking point right now.
And the effects of the crisis reaching far beyond the border. In New York City, thousands of adult asylum seekers now limited to 30 days in city shelters before they're asked to find alternative housing.
If you're enjoying the video, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Mayo Reality Lessons.
The best solutions to help the crisis rages on. Late last week, the Biden administration extended temporary protected status to more than 470,000 Venezuelans who arrived in the country before July 31st, allowing them to legally work. The reactions? Mixed.
Even though it's a tool perhaps for the short term that brings about more stability for cities, TPS within itself is not a durable solution for migrants or for what we're seeing at the border. We need to have more stable, long-term pathways.
On the same day he extended TPS protections for Venezuelans, the president defending his administration in remarks to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus.
These migrants will be able to apply for work permits, but that's not all. We've already delivered over $1 billion that Congress appropriated to states and cities receiving migrants.
He also called on Congress to pass $4 billion in additional funding.
I've requested more funding, but instead of stepping up with solutions, Republicans are threatening to shut down the government.
Democratic Party, we're watching you.
Yeah.
We are disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
We are angry.
Yes.
We are offended.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like we're being mistreated, misused, and disrespected.
Yeah.
We will not continue to be disrespected by the Democratic Party. As I said yesterday, and I'll say today and tomorrow, if you're an independent candidate, Green Party candidate, Republican candidate, now is your time in this city.
Well, it's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
And I heard someone say earlier that here in Chicago, we're talking about turning away from the Democratic Party. I have already turned. I will be voting Republican this time around. And I don't think that that's just a sentiment of Carter Trust. I think that's the sentiment of a lot of people around the entire United States. And basically, you know, for years, the Democratic Party has taken our vote for granted, and they feel that they can continue to ignore us, not support us, not give us the things that we need in our communities, and we're going to continue to vote for them. We are not our grandparents. We're different. And when we see that you don't have our best interests at heart, we're going to go elsewhere.
I'm going to close with the following. We are currently in a state of disarray. We have money hemorrhaging out of the country, supporting all other kinds of activities and other quote-unquote missions. And we're sitting in a country today where we have high inflation, high gas, high housing, high interest rates. We have people still that are already American citizens living on the streets. We have bad water, poor infrastructure, but we have the resources to help folks who we don't even know an iota of information about because the borders are so wide open. There's more than just people coming from Latin America. The world knows that this is the best time to make a run for the border coming from all countries, good, bad, or indifferent. So when it comes to the polls and voting, I'm just going to merely vote for the one party that has my best interest at heart and for the sovereignty of the country. But I want to hear from you in the comments section. Tell me how you feel about the current status quo. and what would be your course of action in the coming election. As always, I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Male Reality Lessons and have a good day.